Okay, there we go. I've been waiting for the little "you're on air" to go on. So, welcome to Adventures in Visibility. I am Denise Wakeman, your host and guide to better visibility on the web. And I am very excited about today's show. We're going to be exploring some topics that can get people riled up. We're going to be discussing the future of digital marketing. We're going to be looking at that internet age-old question about blogging and is it dead or dying? Really? We're going to look at that one. Anyway, I am very pleased that my guest today is Dino Dogan of Triberr. He's the founder of Triberr. I had the pleasure and fun of meeting Dino in person, in real life, IRL.
AFK.
AFK, right.
Away from keyboard.
Away from keyboard, that's right. AFK.
Yeah. Because is this not real life?
I think it's real life, yeah.
One could argue.
Yeah, it is real life. So AFK, away from keyboard. We met at the recent Blog Pause conference, fabulous conference, and that was in Las Vegas last month, and got to hang out together, and that was really fun. So I asked Dino if he would come on to the show, and we could talk about the future of digital marketing. So welcome, Dino. Thank you so much for being with me here today.
Thank you, Denise. It's been such a pleasure to hang out with you. I've been following Denise's online activities for years. For years. I mean, when I started blogging like 2009-ish, 2010, Denise was, you were one of the, gods of the blogosphere that I would look up to and like, oh my God, if I could just be like Denise, that would be awesome.
Oh, you are crazy.
It's true. It's true. It is true. I'm not just saying that. It's true.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't give your.
Wait, let me prove it to you. Back then your blog was kind of had like a pink hue background.
Yes. Okay.
I remember this.
That was one of my first blogs. Yep, that's correct. That was Build a Better Blog. Build a Better Blog, all about blogging, because that's what I started with. Okay, I want to just read your short bio because I just love it so much, and I want everybody to know a little bit about you before we dive in. Dino is the global force for Badassery, and I can attest to that. He's also the founder and CEO of Triberr, which we're going to talk a little bit about later. He's a refugee from Bosnia, professional speaker with a real job, a martial artist. Oh, I forgot the lousy part. A lousy martial artist.
I didn't mind that you forgot.
And a singer-songwriter. So I'm really excited to have you with me here today, Dino. And I think that we need to just jump right in because there is some controversial stuff that you like to wrangle with. So let's start because we've already talked about the blogging thing, and I've been blogging since 2004. I know how I feel about blogging, but you posed the question, is blogging dead or dying? So let's start there. Is it?
No.
Okay, moving on now. Would you care to expound on that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, starting in like 2009 or something like that, when Twitter and Facebook really started to take off. They started a few years earlier, but the social media sites like Twitter and Facebook really started to take off sometime in 2009. A lot of people have said blogging is dead, and it's not, and I can prove it. In El Castillo, Spain, they found some cave paintings that are 48,000 years old. So, like, some dude 48,000 years ago dried up some berries, made powder out of it, put his hand on a cave wall, and blew a handprint. Right? That was the first blog post. He was the first blogger. Right? It's the same kind of drive that prompted that dude 48,000 years ago to leave a first infographic on the wall. Mark Zuckerberg didn't invent a wall post. That dude did, right? It's the same impulse inside that guy that drives us today to express ourselves. And what better way to express yourself than to do it on your own platform rather than somebody else's? Because, you know, I love Facebook, I live for Twitter, but that's you know, you're renting those spaces for a little while. You need to own your own house and, you know, own your own property,
Right.
to use a real estate analogy. So no, blogging is far from dead. It's never going to be dead unless this drive inside us dries up somehow, which I doubt that is going to happen.
Right. So basically, what you're saying is that it's a drive to express ourselves in some public way, to allow other people to hear what we have to say and to express it to the world.
Yeah, absolutely. 140 characters is not going to do it, and you shouldn't do it on Facebook or G Plus for that matter. Even though I love G Plus, this Google Hangout thing is just revolutionary. But you're building other people's empires with your bricks when you're, you know, expressing yourself, creating original content on Facebooks and Twitters and G Pluses and so on and so forth. You got to own your own home. You build your own empire. And that, you know, that's your blog. I mean, what else is there?
Right. So when we look at that, you know, that you've got to build your own home, what is the benefit to the person who's building their home? You know, if everybody's hanging out on Facebook and Google Plus and Twitter, why should they be building their own home?
Well, a couple of different reasons. So first of all, you know, we've all seen and heard stories and seen people get kicked off, their accounts deleted, or their Facebook page shut down because of some theoretical violation of terms of service, which nobody reads ever, right? So no one can kick you out of your own house. So that's why you need to have your blog. And then, you know, Twitter and Facebook, G+, these are social platforms. They have essentially usurped, Denise, you remember when you started blogging, right?
Mm-hmm.
Blogs were the social network of the internet.
Absolutely.
Blogs were social.
They were social. The comments made them social.
The comments made them social. The links made them social. The connections you built through those two and then some methods, they made them social. But blogs were built as a publishing platform. They were never built as a social platform. We just kind of hacked our way into the social component of blogs because we're human and we're social by nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
But blogs were never built as a social platform. They were built as a publishing platform, first and foremost. And then these things, Twitter and Facebook and whatnot, came out that usurped blogs as the social platforms because Facebook and Twitter were built with a social component in their DNA, right? So we are in a kind of a bind as content creators, whether you're a podcaster, a YouTuber, or a writer, or whatever. We're in a bit of a bind, right? We're sort of forced to use Facebook and Twitter and whatnot because that's where people are, because people are inherently social. That's where they are. So we're kind of forced to be on those platforms. And then, of course, the goal becomes on sort of how do we get them from those platforms into our home, where we can have a different kind of, deeper kind of conversation with them. We can, you know, funnel them into our list, or have a kind of an ongoing, more meaningful, deeper relationship with the audience than you can on Facebook and whatnot. That's the piece that we're struggling. And the future that I want to see is blogs usurping Facebooks and Twitters of the world. I want to see the blogosphere that has the social component built in its DNA. I want to see blogs as social platforms.
Okay, so how do you see that happening and evolving? So we're going to kind of jump into this future bit because you know, this is something that I've been thinking about while you were saying that. It's like, oh, how do we see how can blogs transform to be that, so that we don't
Yeah.
have to be on every single platform, sharing our content and, sharing other people's content, just trying to get noticed?
Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of different things that could be done, but I'll talk to you about this thing that we did do. It's offline now. I hate that it's offline now. We just couldn't keep supporting it, but it existed for about a year and it was awesome. So I'll tell you about that, and we're gonna bring it back. For about a year, Triberr had this thing called Reblog. And reblog is a lot like a retweet, right? Except instead of retweeting 140 characters, you take an entire article, right, and you reblog it from Denise's blog to Dino's blog. Denise wrote the article, right, and I take the entire article, click, and it goes to my blog.
Okay.
Boom. Right? And there's a couple of really important things that happen when that happens. First of all, the user experience, the reader's experience is unchanged, right? So they come to my blog, they come to your blog, they see no difference. It's the entire blog post, they see everything. Okay. Reader experience, A+, good. Authorship, right?
Yes.
The same way they see, yeah. I mean, authorship, what's the right thing to do? The right thing to do is to credit the author properly, right? So the same kind of author box that's visible on your blog is visible on my blog. So you're the author, your bio is there, maybe a follow button is there so that people can follow Denise and so on and so forth, right? Here's the coup d'etat. The comments. Whatever comments you had on your blog are visible on my blog. And vice versa. So it's syndicated comments as well as content, as well as authorship, and so on. Somebody leaves a comment on my instance of your blog post, that comment is visible on your blog as well. We called it zero loss of engagement, right?
Okay.
So
go
ahead.
Let me quickly ask you a question about that. I first want to bring up this comment by Tom Collins of BlogPause. He's very relieved to hear that blogging ain't dead or dying. Yes, so are we, Tom. Thank you very much. Okay, so how does the reblog get around duplicate content? I'm sure you've been asked that many times. And SEO issues. Does it? Well, you tell me. How does that work?
Yeah, well, short answer is there's nothing to worry about, right? Huffington Post has been syndicating content forever, right? So Huffington Post may take your article and put it on Huffington Post. You've seen it, right? This article originally appeared on blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
Right? And the problem with Huffington Post is when somebody searches for the key phrase, Huffington Post's version of your article will appear before your version does, right? Because Huffington Post has greater authority and whatnot, right? So in any case, duplicate content is largely misunderstood. Duplicate content really applies a lot to your blog. So if you keep publishing the same post over and over again on your blog, you're going to get dinged, right?
Okay.
So, but if the same content is spread across multiple blogs, let's say Huffington Post and DeniseWakeman.com, Google has a timestamp, right? They have a crawling timestamp. So they know which article is older and which is newer and whatnot, right?
Okay.
Plus, Google has like syndication tag. So when I reblog your content, right, we can insert syndication tag so that it notifies Google crawler or whatever crawler is, Yahoo crawler, whatever. So that Google understands, oh, this is a syndicated version of the blog post, so it gives you precedence over my version, so you get the SEO juice, I get the content.
Okay, good. Well, I think hopefully that's cleared that up for a lot of people, because I know that that's a question I get all the time. It's like, well, how can I do that? It's syndicated, whatever. It's duplicate. So let's move on here. Well,
Sure.
actually, one quick thing. You mentioned Triberr. I mentioned Triberr. For those who don't know what Triberr is, can you just give the quick snapshot version? What is Triberr? And you founded it a few years ago, so let's get that out of the way too.
Triber's a couple of different things, but it's really it's a social network for bloggers, for content creators, podcasters, YouTubers, whatever, right? And we sort of come together in groups, niche-specific groups or location-specific groups, and we help each other reach a greater audience. So Denise and I may be in a tribe with like 10 or 15 other people, and whenever Denise publishes a new blog post, I can share that stuff to my Twitter, to my Facebook, to my G+, and so on. Triber just consolidates everything, right? So if you're following 50 or 100 other blogs, instead of going to 50 or 100 places, Triber pulls all of that content into like a news stream. We call it Tribal Stream, whatever. And we make the sharing and the reading and consumption of content and sharing of content, we make that stuff super easy. Like, you don't even have to click. You just hover over the approve button, and you don't even have to schedule it. Triber puts it in a queue and staggers out the sharing across Twitter and Facebook and whatever you have connected. So we make what bloggers naturally do, which is help each other. We make that stuff super easy.
Cool. Okay. All right. I just want to bring this in from Candace. She says, reblogging is a very cool idea. I like it. So it sounds like...
Thank you, Candace.
Sounds like you got to get that one back.
Yeah. No, we see that as a future of Triber. We see that as a very core component of what Triber does. In the last 3 years of running Triber, one of the most painful things that we've had to do is we've had to kill our babies.
Aww.
It's been super, it really feels that way, you know? About a year into it, we had this thing called headline testing area, right? So you could put like an A version of your headline and B version of your headline, and people can vote. Oh. And it was super awesome. It was super awesome. People loved it, but we just couldn't support it, right? When you have limited resources, you have to focus on what it is that you need to do.
Right.
So we had to kill that. We had to kill reblog, but both of those and more, all those things will be coming back. We're looking to raise money this year. That means we're going to be able to hire more people and do more stuff, more cool stuff for bloggers and content creators that helps them. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so we're going to move to the next question, or the next point here, because this is what really created some controversy. I
love controversy.
Yes, I know you do. That's why I was looking forward to this. You know, one of the things that was in the information and description about this program was your comment that, you know, how have the Googles and Facebooks of the world, have they failed us? And Michael Mason of Plus My Reach said, well, the title got me, so I'll try to attend live, but I have a question. Failed us in what way? So that's the perfect segue into you, you know, like, in what way, Dino? What do you mean by that?
In so many ways, in so many ways. I replied to Michael, and, you know, I'll answer that with a question, right? And the question is, 3-4 years ago, if Facebook told you that they're going to cut access to your Facebook fans by 99%, would you build a Facebook fan page?
Probably not.
Probably
Waste of time.
not. Waste of time, right? But that's exactly what has happened, right? They enable you to build your platform. In Facebook's case, it's you know, Facebook fan page or whatnot. G+ has its own equivalents. It's just G+ hasn't matured to the point where they're cutting off access and whatnot. And you know, Twitter, I'm sure you know, has had or will have something similar, right? But you know, they sell you a bill of goods, and then they sort of, you know, it's a bait and switch. And I don't blame Mark Zuckerberg for this, right? They are now a public company. They have a board of shareholders. Investors want to make money with the platform. They're trying to figure out how to make money. It's just that I can't help but being betrayed by Facebook when they do something like that. But maybe even more importantly, maybe even more disturbingly, and both Facebook and Google are guilty of this, they've betrayed us in... So, Denise, 30, 40, 50 years ago, how did TV stations and radio stations make money?
Advertising.
Advertising, ads, right? So Google and Facebook, these amazing new technologies, groundbreaking, innovative technologies in this brave new internet world come out, and they build this radical new way for us to connect, for us to discover information, and so on and so forth. And then they take the same exact business model that has been in existence for 100+ years. They monetize eyeballs by showing them ads, which is the same business model that radio stations and TV and so on, magazines, newspapers,
Right.
have been using for 100+ years. So they innovated technology, they innovated the way humans connect, but they stopped short of innovating the business model. They use the same business model as everybody else before
Okay,
them.
so what would you like to see instead?
So what I would like to see instead is what Triberr is doing. That's what I would like to see instead.
Okay, let's go there. What's Triberr doing in that regard?
Well, so, bloggers and podcasters and YouTubers, they have an audience. They have a platform. They have an audience. The audience is small, right? So as such, Denise, like you have an audience, but your audience is not large enough for you to be interesting to, let's say, Nike.
Right.
Nike as a brand, it's a way too big a brand for them to hire someone like you, Denise, right?
Yeah.
They'll hire someone like Michael Jordan,
Right.
but they can't hire someone like Denise or Dino because we're too small. We have an audience, but we're too small. However, if Nike is able to put 100 Denises together in a group, a tribe, right, and manage them as a singular unit so that the cost of management doesn't go up as you add more people, and those 100 Denises and 100 Dinos can actually work together, combine each other's audience, cross-promote each other's content and whatnot. Now this becomes interesting to Nike. So that's what we've been trying to do. That's what we've been doing. We've been helping brands hire a bunch of different influencers, online influencers, and manage them as a singular unit. And individually, they may not have a large audience, but combined, they can move a needle. Right?
Okay.
And help them make money. Help you make money.
Right. So everybody makes money, actually.
Yeah.
As a platform providing this, Triberr, I imagine, takes a cut. Then
Absolutely.
the influential blogger gets a cut, and the brand is getting the exposure and probably making money somewhere along the line. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And so this is what you refer to as influencer marketing, right?
Yeah. It's from a brand and agency perspective, they can think of it as essentially a media buy because what's the difference between essentially being featured on Denise's Hangout versus being featured on on a radio station as a commercial or a TV show or something like that, right? From a brand's perspective, it's just a media buy, right? Well, we don't have to get all up into that, but
right. Okay.
That's the idea, right? We call it influence marketing.
Okay. So then when you're looking at the brands like Google and Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, how would you advise them to build some kind of model like this that didn't include the old advertising model? I mean,
they can't. They can't. They're too big. I mean, Google. This number is about 2 years old, but I don't think it changed much. Google's all the money that Google makes, 98% of it is, I think it's like 98, huge percentage, is ads. Right? How does someone like Google essentially destroy 98% of its you know, money making,
Right.
right? It's impossible. So it's too late for them, right? And I know that a lot of bloggers, a lot of content creators have actually made okay living, um, uh, you know, using like Google ads and stuff like
Hmm.
that. The problem with ads is fundamental, right? There's no saving ads. So the thing about ads is they create. It's too late, by the way, to use Google Ads. Like nobody, like you know, it's very difficult for 99% of content creators to make a living through Google
Oh,
Ads
yeah.
or
I
some.
don't even
I mean,
try.
no, yeah. So the ability for you to make a living like that is questionable. But let's say that you could do it. What would then be the problem with ads? Well, it could be a few problems. Number one, it creates a really terrible user experience. No one wakes up in the morning thinking to themselves, "I'm really looking forward to seeing some ads today." You know,
Oh.
no one goes to bed thinking, "Man, I just didn't see enough ads today." Right? Nobody
Or
thinks like that.
I saw a great ad today.
Yeah, right? So ads create a really terrible user experience. Number two, uh, the reason we have no privacy online is because of ads, right? So the whole ads thing, it's really a privacy issue. The reason Google's and Facebook's and there's like a ton of faceless corporations out there who
Hmm.
are data collectors that essentially sell and trade our data amongst each other so that they can show us more relevant ads, right?
Right. Right.
But we have no privacy because they want to show us more relevant ads. That's you know that's a fundamental problem. So I just don't see them being able to turn it around. Not that they would want to. I don't think they want to. You know, they're happy making their money through ads.
Yeah.
The truly terrible thing is that we accept it. You know, use an
Yeah,
ad
it's
blocker,
because
people.
right. It's evolved over such a long time that we just used to it, and
Yeah.
I doubt that many people have made the connection that you're making is that it's the advertising that is, you know, has created a lack of privacy for us.
Yeah,
Those
absolutely.
are
It's
two.
a
You
privacy
see
issue.
your ads, and then we have the privacy issues, and you know, sometimes people talk about data collection, but
Yeah.
very few people put that together.
Yeah,
So,
they're inherently put together.
right, right.
You know?
One of the somebody commented also on one of the many posts about this event. It's like, how can something that's free betray us or fail us?
Hmm.
So because essentially it's free, so to speak, to use Facebook and Google and these other platforms, um, can they really be failing us? They're doing what they do, and we get to use their platforms.
Hmm.
So how do you
They're not
respond to
free.
that?
They're not free. Right? We are the product.
Right.
Right? We volunteer ourselves as a product. They're not free. We pay dearly in having our information collected and done God knows what with, and then having awesome and Dino tailored ads follow me across the internet so that Dino can spend more money and get more in debt. Like, it's not free, man. It follows us around, and when it works, it just makes us worse.
Yeah.
It's not
Yes, it's
generative.
very irritating.
Yeah, when it works, it makes everything worse. We spend more money, we get more annoyed. We're a product.
Well, it's so interesting because today's my birthday, and the first
Oh,
thing I
happy
see,
birthday. That's right.
oh,
Yeah.
thank you. And the first thing I see when I
Yep.
open up my browser is Google wishing me a happy birthday.
Yeah. Isn't that
Well,
amazing?
how do they know it's my birthday? Because they know everything about me.
Yeah.
I mean, I laugh when I see it because I gave up, all that,
Yeah.
all the irritations about lack of privacy and all that. I choose
Yeah.
to do business on the web. I choose to share information on the web,
Mm-hmm.
and so I don't get too bent out of shape about it. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
make your choices.
Yep.
If you don't want your privacy and your information to be known and shared, then you get offline.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah.
So
Unfortunately, that's exactly true.
yeah. So I accept it and it's fine. But I had to laugh this morning when it's like,
Yeah.
"Happy birthday, Denise!"
I
Like,
did too. Yeah, I saw
oh,
you post that on Facebook. Yeah.
I know, made me laugh.
Uh,
So anyway, okay. So in the last couple minutes here,
mhm.
you've touched on bits about the future. Is there some big bright future thing that you'd like to share with how you see things are going to be evolving on the web, that it's going to help online entrepreneurs like us really do business better on the web?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. What the future I want to see, and the future I'm working towards, is a future where blogs usurp Twitter and Facebook and Google's of the world as a social platforms, as social engagement platforms. I want all the blogs online to become a giant social organism. Denise, if you and I are chatting in a box, right, and then I go from one website to another, why can't I have the same chat box open inside my browser the way it's open on Facebook?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be
Or on
cool?
Google. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I want to see a future where blogs are essentially turned into giant social organisms, and the way Triberr, the way we plan on, and we're like 70% there in this regard, but the direction that we're going towards is we want to predict the viral ability or the shareability or the amount of impressions or visits that your content is going to get. And then we want to make suggestions on how to improve the odds. So that's how we want to help entrepreneurs and business owners and content creators get more eyeballs on what they do.
Yeah, well, I think that doing that prediction and offering suggestions, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a great way to do it,
Yeah.
because we're not all natural born, copywriters that
Exactly.
know how to get attention. I know I struggle with it and have struggled with it for years, which is why it's
Yep.
kind of ironic that I blog. But
Yeah.
because writing is not something that comes to me easily or naturally, it doesn't flow. I struggle. And yet I've been doing it for 10 years because I
Yeah.
understand the impact it can have on a business.
Yeah.
So, having that kind of suggestibility, I think, is a great way to offer more value, for sure.
Yeah.
So we're about 3 minutes after the half hour. Can you tell people, one, how they can get involved in Triberr and what it can do for them? Yeah, I mean, you mentioned this a little bit, but is Triberr open to anyone? Or do you have to apply? Because it's changed over the years. So what's the current way to get involved with Triberr?
Yeah, you just sign up like you sign up for any other social network. Once you sign up, you connect your RSS feed so that we can import your posts, and then just connect with people whose content you love to read and love to share. And your Triberr experience is going to be awesome. And what Triberr then does, for example, if I'm connected with Denise and I share Denise's content, I'm showing affinity for Denise's content. So then my content is presented on top of Denise's stream, so that Denise can then have opportunity to share my content, or you can choose not to or whatever.
Right.
But we want to reward good social behavior. And affinity algorithm is one of the ways in which we do that. But other than that, content creators, the way to promote yourself, the way to market yourself, the way to get more eyeballs is to work with other content creators and share across each other's audiences. Triberr just makes all of that just much, much easier than doing it
Right.
like manually or whatever.
Yeah, well, I have to confess that it took me a while to get on board with Triberr, because it wasn't clear to me initially,
Mm-hmm.
but you've really built it out in such a way that it makes, it's very easy to get started, and it really the amount of sharing and retweeting and commenting that my content now gets, since I think I've been active, a couple of years now, has made a big difference in how much my content is getting out there in the world, because there is like a real viral effect to it, because each person has an audience that they're sharing with, and then whether those people are part of the Triberr audience or not doesn't matter. It can keep on going beyond that.
Exactly.
Now, how do people get in tribes? Like, they're not automatically in a tribe when they start, right?
No. So there's two ways. You can either search for various tribes and essentially like apply. So you find a tribe that you like. Denise is in it. Dino's in it. A bunch of other people who are awesome content creators are in it. You're like, oh, this is a great tribe to be in. You apply, and then you can either request a promotion or remain a follower. If you remain a follower, it's essentially like subscribing to a group RSS. So all of the content, all of the awesome content in that tribe is fed into your tribal stream. Or you can request a promotion, in which case the chief of the tribe gets an email saying, so-and-so has applied. Here's their profiles. Check them out. If they're a good fit, make them a member. Or I should say, life's an and, not an or. And you can build your own tribe. So now you can invite whoever you want in that tribe and build your own tribe and essentially be a coach for your team, or just bring people together that you love.
Right. One of the things I like about it, just to go on a little bit here, is that you can create tribes based on themes or your industry or your niche. And I also have a couple of private tribes for people who are in programs that I have. So I'm trying to, make them aware of how to use it, how to get more visibility. So it's just private for people in a program, and we help each other to very specific, outcomes in mind. So that's what I really like, is that it can be open, it can be closed, whatever you want, and it's very niche specific too. So
yeah.
Okay, so and let's just make sure we spell that for people, since it's got one of those social media spellings.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's Triberr. It's a Triberr. It's like tribe with two R's at the end. Triberr.com.
Okay, Triberr.com. So I invite you all to go check it out, because it's a great way to amplify your content across the web. And where else can people get in touch with you, Dino?
DinoDogan.com.
DinoDogan.com.
Easy.
Pretty easy. We like those, easy domains. Yeah. Okay, so Dino, my last question. I did warn you about this.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did.
What is your most memorable adventure? Business, life, travel, whatever.
Yeah. So this is both travel and sorry. This is both travel and life and a little bit business. So a bunch of years ago, I was in Sweden, Stockholm, Sweden. Great city. If you've never been, go there. It's an amazing city. Like really, it's a New York-sized city, but the buildings are really, they're not tall at all, right? So all the exhaust fumes and whatnot, they evaporate. You can see the sky. It's amazing, right? Just go there. And so I'm a failed musician. I play guitar. I'm a singer. I play some drums. I'm a pretty good piano player. I can play a piano. This is not like bragging. It's relevant to the story. So I'm in Stockholm. It's summertime. Every block has a musician on it. They're doing whatnot, right? Playing their thing, right? And on one block, there was a dude, clearly a paraplegic, sitting in a wheelchair, drooling out of the side of his mouth, right? The dude is totally messed up, sitting in a wheelchair and playing a keyboard with his toes.
Wow.
And it wasn't like, he plays a better keyboard than I can, right? And that just blew my mind. He's playing a song, it was like a classical piece, with his toes on a keyboard. it was mind-blowing. So it's both travel, in terms of life, it's like,
Yeah.
wow, if he can do that, then what excuse can I have
Right.
for not doing, and whatever it is that I want to do, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's probably one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life. This handicapped dude strapped to a wheelchair playing a keyboard with his toes. Amazing.
Excellent. It's
Yeah.
very inspirational. Very
Mm.
inspirational. So thank you for sharing that story.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Because I know you have a lot of stories about adventures in your life. So
Yeah.
that's a great inspiration. That there's
Yeah.
no reason there's nothing that stops us from doing anything we want except for
Mhm.
ourselves.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
So anyway, all right. So Dino, thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
Denise.
much for joining me today on Adventures in Visibility. This has been a great conversation. I always love hearing your point of view on things, and I'm with you there all the way on this. For you out in Hangout Land, thank you for being here with me today or watching this later. If you'd like to get advance notice of when I am hosting Adventures in Visibility, you can go to adventuresinvisibility.com and get on the early notification list, or you can request to be added to my opt-in circle so you get notice through Google+. And next time, I'm drawing a blank on who's coming up next, so you'll see it when I announce it. And
They gotta subscribe.
yeah, gotta
Yeah.
subscribe because
Keep
I'm
in the loop.
blanking out right now. Uh, anyway, thank you for being with us again, Dino. I really, really appreciate it, and I wish you all an adventurous day.